नॉर्मल है ना?
ये हमारे पिलानी का मूर्ति राम की बनाई।
Between the 10th and the 11th centuries, one of the most magnificent temple cities of the world was built at Khajuraho in the rule of the Chandela kings. We find here, side by side, magnificent Hindu and Jaina temples. Best of all, we find a profusion of Hindu deities made on the walls of the Jaina temples. Here again, there was no barrier between the faiths. In Gujarat, we see the same spirit of the worship of all deities. King Bhima I made a marvelous temple to Surya the sun at Modhera in the 11th century. At the same time, his wife Udayamati was making a beautiful step-well temple to Lord Vishnu at nearby Patan. Meanwhile, his minister Vimala was making a most famous Jaina temple at Mount Abu. In the spiritual climate which continued from ancient times, we see that in the early medieval period, there were no boundaries between faiths. The same person is most often described as a devotee of different deities, depending upon the occasion. Examples of this are numberless. Such religious divisions are a later construct by scholars who have tried to understand Indian history from a vastly different perspective. The Valley of Kashmir was one of the great centers of Buddhist and Hindu philosophy. The site of Parihaspura in Kashmir of the 8th century has a Buddhist chaitya as well as a Hindu Vishnu temple, both dedicated by King Lalitaditya. In that cosmopolitan culture, the same site also has a vast stupa made by the king's Tokharian minister. Tanks in Hindu temples. Inscriptions show that many kings of the Pala dynasty followed the path of the Buddha. They also show that several others of the same dynasty followed other faiths. Best of all, the same kings are clearly seen to be equally generous to Hindus and Buddhists. King Mahipala I of the 11th century is described in his copperplate inscription as Parama Sangata, respectful to the Buddha. An inscription of the king also shows that he was a follower of the Shaiva ascetic Vanvasi. Other inscriptions state that he patronized Shaiva ascetics and donated a vast monastery.